We are doing science, hence my hair. Haha. We are doing plant a seed and like what happens in seeds and stuff today. Well, I'm going to show you some stuff that's cool. And then afterwards, if you happen to have an egg and some dirt and some seeds, we can plant them.
We have dirt, we have
Yeah?
seeds, and we have eggs.
Okay.
Wait, are you talking about the? I know eggs help the plants grow.
Yes. I know you probably know about putting your egg in, I mean, not your egg, sorry, putting your seed in the dirt and giving it some water and all that. But there's so much more to a seed. Do you know what happens inside a seed, Raleigh?
Mm-hmm. We learned that.
Oh, well, you teach me then. That's cool.
What happens in the seed? It starts building up. It turns green. The seed shell pops up, and then the plant starts growing in it.
Okay, well, you got my first word to show you anyways, the seed coat, right? Which is also what you're referring to as the seed shell. Did you get to dissect any seeds, like put them in water and then open them up and stuff like that?
Yes.
Yes, okay. What did you find when you did that?
We just found like once inside, we could see a little sprout.
A little sprout. Okay, that has another official name for it. Do you know it? It starts with an E.
No.
It is.
Embryo.
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 Yeah, that's the word for a baby plant that's inside the seed.
I forgot because it was in grade 4.
Well, why? What grade are you in now? 5?
Mm-hmm. Now turning 6.
That was a long time ago, grade 4, hey?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they make you learn a lot of stuff. There was something when I was learning about this, I thought, oh my goodness, this sounds so much like an egg to me. Do you know the parts of an egg?
Parts of the egg, there's yolk.
Yes.
There's its eggshell.
That's right.
There's the egg juice.
The egg juice? Ooh, okay. So if this was an egg, right, that part is the yolk. And then of course on the outside there's the shell. And then all this stuff in here would be what you called the juice, but it's got a different word. You see, yeah. The white. I mean, that's the term people use when they're baking or cooking especially. They talk about the yolk, the orange part, and the white in there. But what if we never cracked the eggshell, and if the mom kept sitting on it and kept it warm, someday these things, they're not just a shell and a yolk and a white anymore, are they?
Mm-hmm.
What happens inside that egg? If the
Don't know.
You don't know. Hey, okay, there. So we got some learning to do. This, the yolk, the yellow part, actually turns into the chick. Let's say we're talking about normal, regular eggs from chickens. So the baby chick, that yellow thing is turning into the baby chick. And then this white part out here, this is actually the food for the baby chick while it's in the egg. Does that make sense, kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if we think about our seed, it's really similar with a seed. Inside the seed, there's this part. Might be different shapes in different seeds and so on, right? But we have on the outside, you already told me what's the outside called.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what the outside?
It's called a seed coat.
Yeah, it's a seed coat. So kind of like an egg has a shell, a seed has a coat, okay? This part that's in the inside, you told me what it was. Do you remember? It started with an E, the word I gave you for it, but you described it yourself.
Inyon.
Good try. The embryo,
Embryo.
which basically means the baby plant. The sprout, I think you called it, right? So it's the baby plant getting ready to grow. So then there's all this stuff on the inside here. There's all this space. Let's see what we got the same. We got a seed coat and a shell, the outsides, right? We got the baby plant and the baby chicken.
Yeah.
But then we've got this other part, all this space. What was this for the chicken?
The white.
The white,
Food.
which was food. So what are we missing over here?
The food.
The food. You're exactly right. So that part in the seed is actually the food for the embryo or the food for the baby plant. Wow, hey, kind of cool. So they had a fancy science word for it, for the food that's in a seed, and here's the fancy science word. On the bottom here is how you say it. Cataliden. Cataliden. And it's the seed food. So there you go. That's a good science word for you. All right, I want to show you a video.
To the dicot seed, and I'm going to start with the lima bean first. Now this has been soaking for about 8 hours or so it comes off pretty easy. You can see that just by moving my fingers that the seed coat is literally falling right off. So that's the seed coat. I'm going to put that aside, and then very gently, you can see my point right here, you can see a little bit of the embryo sticking out right there, and we don't want to damage that. We want to try to keep that intact. And I'm going to just ever so gently just give it a little pinch, just a very small pinch. This is a dicot, so it's going to split in two normally. And as I open that up, you can see the two halves of the bean seed. And what you're looking at right here, this is all going to be cotyledon, food for the developing embryo, all cotyledon. And then you can see this structure right here. This is going to be our embryo. So what we can do sometimes, if it's not obvious right away, is we can put just a very small amount of iodine on here. And then I'm just going to pat this. And you can see this white area right here. This is the part of the embryo right here. This is going to be the epicotyl or plumule. And then I like to divide this into thirds. So that would be the top third. The middle third right here would be the hypocotyl. And the lower third right here would be the radical, which will develop into our root. And those are the parts of the bean seed that you want to see.
So a person could do that themselves. We did mention some of these words. So I'm going to hold these ones up, okay? Because there was dicot he mentioned. So a dicot is when the seed has two cotyledons, I think is how you say it. And you saw how it split in half when you went to go split it in half. So two cotyledons means two of those food sections, right? Because the cotyledon was the food section. And some seeds aren't like that, and they're called monocot. The cot is for the cotyledon word. And so a monocot just has one part, one food part. It doesn't split into two easily. So corn, for example, a corn seed is a monocot because it doesn't split into two parts easy, but a bean seed is a dicot. And when we watch a video, one more video I have for you, it might talk about a eudicot, which is just a type of a dicot. So anyways, in case you get confused about that. And then he talked about some other little parts to the plant. So I made this little diagram because there's all these fancy words here. Okay, so when he talked about a radical, that part of the embryo is going to turn into a radical. That means root. So part of the embryo is going to turn into the root of the plant. Okay, and then as he went along the embryo, he kind of used some other words, which might have been, I think it was hypocotyl he talked about. And that's just the part of the stem that comes before the seed leaves, which are actually cotyledon. So the cotyledon, the food part, once the plant starts to grow, it doesn't necessarily, sometimes they stay under the ground, but sometimes they get pushed up and they turn into what they call seed leaves, the very first leaves of the plant. But they're not really true leaves because they were just that food storage. Then they call this part of the stem that comes next the epicotyl, and that comes before the very first real leaves that happen on a plant, which they call that the plumule. The plumule is the part at the end of the stem that's about to turn into real leaves. So something really cool I found out about the cotyledon, the seed leaves. Do you know about photosynthesis? You probably would, right? Yeah, photosynthesis, right? So I was wondering, the cotyledon, that food storage, when it's in the seed and it's in the ground, it definitely isn't doing photosynthesis because you need sun for that, right? But if they come up out of the ground, they can actually start performing photosynthesis, which is kind of cool. Of course, the first real leaves, when the real leaves come, they definitely are doing photosynthesis. And the cotyledon, once the other leaves start taking over and doing photosynthesis and making food for the plant, the cotyledon will often wither up, dry up, maybe fall off because they don't need them anymore. So that was really cool. I didn't know about those. All right, I got one more thing for you. What does the word germination mean?
Germination?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot.
Oh, okay. Germination is, here I wrote it down. It means starting
to grow.
Starting to grow. So at what point does a seed start to grow? Because
from a cycle.
What's that?
From a cycle.
He's part of the life cycle, that's for sure. I'm just gonna grab something I got here. So I got this bag here and it's full of all these seeds, obviously pumpkins at the front. But are any of the seeds in my bag, do you think they're growing?
No.
Why not?
Because there's no soil, water, sun, wind, oxygen.
None of those things that plants need to grow. So for the seed to start growing though, do you know what it needs? It doesn't quite need all the things a plant needs yet. Do you know what a seed needs?
A seed needs soil?
Sort of. There's something else that really gets it started on growing. You want to give another?
Light, air, and water.
Well, not as much the light, because where do we usually put a seed?
In the earth.
In the ground, under the dirt, where it's dark.
Yes, but some sunlight rays go through the dirt and reach to the seed.
It's true, a little bit, but that isn't the main thing that a seed needs to get going. Give it
water.
That's the winner. Yes, it needs water. Once the seed gets wet enough, but not too wet, because you can cause it to rot and things if you get it too wet. But once it gets the right amount of water, that activates the process of germination, and the plant, the seed, will start growing. The embryo will start growing more on the inside. So, do you know how water gets into the seed? I found this interesting too.
The water goes into the seed by the water going through the seed. It's kind of hard to explain.
Yeah, it actually doesn't go, because it has a seed coat on it, right? So that coat protects it. So the water doesn't go all the way through the coat so much. There's a little hole in the seed. And I learned that, where does a seed come from anyways, before we have just a seed by itself?
By its plant.
From its plant, okay? And they said that the part where the seed was attached to the plant, when it's taken off of the plant, there's a little hole there. And that's where the water starts to go into the seed. And so it lets the seed know it's time to start growing now because it's got some water in it. So the cotyledon will last about 2 weeks. The food in there will last for the plant for about 2 weeks once it starts germinating. And here's another thing. What would happen if you plant a seed upside down?
Oh, if you plant your seed upside down, it will grow upside down.
Do you know what I learned?
What?
That's not what happens. That the seed will fix itself in the dirt. It said it has something to do with gravity, so that the roots will never get confused. They will go the right way. They will go downward into the dirt, and the stem will always be going up. That's pretty cool. So you can't plant a seed wrong. You can't put it in the wrong way.
Oh wait, I just remember you can't.
Yeah.
But guess what? Because I tried, there was an experiment to grow your own plant. It was a pea plant, and I accidentally planted mine upside down. But when I placed dip a little bit of water, it started moving right side up.
Yeah, it figures
But
it out.
slowly.
It's pretty cool. So we have a cool video to watch. One more video. Okay, so have you heard of a time-lapse video?
Yes, like where it goes fast.
Yeah, where it goes fast. So somebody did a time-lapse video of germination. So they did some bean seeds, like we saw the man dissecting the bean seeds. And they also did some corn seeds. So when we watch it, you can watch to see, first of all, they show it when it's under, like the seed is buried in the dirt, so we can't see what's happening under the dirt. So we just see what's coming up, right? So if you watch when it's coming up, watch for the seed leaves. So that's what used to be the cotyledon. Well, it's still the cotyledon, but now it's coming up and it's turning green and it's looking like actual leaves. So you can watch for those. Now, when it's a monocot, it's funny. Maybe I'll do a diagram here. Remember, there's the dicot, and that's like the bean, and so it's got the two halves that it's split into, right? So when it grows up out of the soil, if there's the dirt and the plant's coming up, the seed leaves, they kind of are like on each side. Now, if you have a monocot, which only has one place to store the food, not two places. Okay, so this one only has one storage place. When it's coming out of the ground, okay, I learned it has something, and I wrote this word down too because I thought, oh, that's a new word for me. I'm never going to remember it. Where'd it go? Here it is. I don't even know how to say it. Whole leaf pile, I don't know. Anyways, it's a sheath or a covering that protects a young shoot tip in a monocot. And I think it's like the cotyledon of a monocot. So they'll mention it in the video that when this is coming up, it kind of has this sort of just a covering. You can't see inside there, but inside there would be the stem growing. And there's sort of a protection thing. And then you'll notice as it grows, it'll sort of, and in the video you'll see it, there'll sort of be the one stem going, and then this is sort of like a little leaf off to the side. So this would be the seed leaf. What used to be the cotyledon, oops, leaf has an F. And like over here, these are the seed leaves. But those first leaves, how many they get depends on, is it a dicot or is it a monocot, right? Because that food storage turns into a leaf. Interesting, hey? I think it's interesting anyways. All right, so I'm gonna find you the video now. So after they show when it's under the dirt, then they do some seeds that are just in a moist Petri dish, like a clear dish you can watch, and you can see the root come out in that one. and then you can see the shoot. And they don't really talk in this one, it's just music, and then they do some little labels to point. But we learned most of those words that they'll have. Covering on a monocoque. It kind of turns into the seed leaf. Radical is a root.
I know why they have roots.
Why do they have roots? We can talk about after. Here comes the dipot. You see the two parts. Cotyledon.
The second seed coat falls off.
Yeah, and that second one that came out, you see the seed coat still. Oh, there it went. So yeah, there's the cotyledons they don't need anymore, right? Those first seed leaves.
There's multiple roots.
Oh, well, is it? What's going on?
Yes, they do, because I have,
I think it, sorry, go ahead.
I planted one of those kidney beans.
That does look like, well, I think they have a main root. Oh, see this one, it's got its two seed leaves on the side of a cactus. Anyways, that's the video. Yeah, I think that thing about the root, it has one main root, so but then it has other ones too. But that first one that comes.
But some of the main root actually comes with other roots growing out of them, and the roots drink water.
That's right. Yeah, that's what they need the roots for, to get the water. Very good. So I have some eggs, and what we did is we cracked them, but in a way that we tried to just take the top off. So there's still quite a bit of a little cup in there. And then I rinsed them out. And then you can actually plant a seed in here, and hopefully germination will start, right? We give it a little bit of water, not too much. And then once the little seedling starts to grow, you can take this whole little egg cup and put it right in the dirt. Because like you said, the eggs are
medicine for the plant.
Well, it's a type of nutrient. Calcium that's in the eggshell is what the plants like to have, one of the things they like to have. So it will decompose right into the dirt, and it will be good for the plant, and it won't hurt anything. So it's like a little, you just plant your egg. I'm wondering, I tried to look up which kind of things would grow really fast, but I'm not sure if I have any of those things here. Cucumbers, yeah. I thought marigold was something that was supposed to grow fast, but I don't see any of them. Anyways.
I know one.
I found the marigold. What's that?
I know one seed that grows fast.
What's that?
Dandelions.
That's absolutely for sure. They grow faster than we want them to, right? I think it's pretty good. And
the first dandelion came from somewhere, and the person who blew it went all around the world.
Baby. Okay, so I got a marigold seed and I got a pumpkin seed. So I'm gonna put a little dirt in here and then I'll put the seed in and then a little bit more dirt. So I got my dirt. I have buckets. Look, it's like a sand bucket. And I did bring a shovel, but it might be too big for my egg. Let me just see. Oh no, if I just use the tip of it, it works okay. Tip of it. Okay, maybe a little bit more. Here's my, okay. Now I'm gonna put the pumpkin seed. My mom says things will start to grow better if you put, soak it a little bit. Oh, I think I just dumped a rock in there. Let's not put the rock in. How does that sound? I'm gonna give it just a little bit of water.
Okay.
Cool. And I'll do my marigold. Okay, well, thanks for coming and hanging out.
Mhm.
All right, I hope we did some interesting things. And let me know if you plant something, all right?
Mhm.
Oh, I've got another rock. All right, shall we say goodbye? Because it's probably going to cut us out soon.
Goodbye.
Bye, Raleigh.
Bye.